Tonight's elongated headlines. I'm rich, but I want to be richer, says Richard. Mao Zedong makes China in a day, makes communism the night. Croatian War gets serious. Yugoslavs go Dubrovniking for 7 months. And later, renowned nutritionist Xavier Pine declares that green beans have gone into hiding due to the shame of being constantly spat at by 4-year-olds. Those are the headlines. What a day it's been. I'm glad it's over.
The news bang, striking at the core of fact, sparing none but the truth. Ebli Sertum, 1386.
The wonderful Parliament of 1386 has left King Richard II bereft of power and possibly a few layers of skin. The monarch's beleaguered advisor, Michael de la Pole, was ejected from office faster than a rat from a sinking ship.
Eyewitnesses report seeing the disgraced Chancellor fleeing the palace, his robes askew, muttering, "'Tis but a scratch," as he dodged projectiles hurled by irate peasants.
In an unprecedented power grab, a council of 11 meddlesome lords has been appointed to supervise the king's every whim. One insider, Lord Reginald Worthington Smythe, remarked, "We're basically his new nannies. No more late-night feasting or jousting for young Richard."
The Lords Appellant, a group of noblemen with a penchant for grandstanding and a surplus of velvet, stormed into Parliament brandishing quills and writs. Their rallying cry? Down with tyranny! Up with slightly less tyranny.
As the dust settles, it's clear that Parliament has drawn first blood, leaving the monarchy reeling. The king was last seen sulking in his chambers, muttering something about treacherous vipers and starting his own kingdom in the Hebrides.
1949.
On this day in 1949, Chairman Mao Zedong, the world's most prominent amateur gardener, unveiled his most ambitious horticultural project to date, the People's Republic of China. Standing atop the gate of heavenly peace, Mao proclaimed, "Let the blooming begin," before snipping a comically oversized red ribbon with a pair of shears that would make Edward Scissorhands blush.
Eyewitnesses report that Mao then proceeded to sprinkle the newly established nation with a watering can filled with what he dubbed the perspiration of exploited workers. Local noodle vendor Li Wei remarked, "1 minute I'm selling noodles, the next I'm living in a classless society."
The proclamation heralded the end of decades of civil war, foreign meddling, and substandard takeaway options. Mao's new Marxist-Leninist regime promised to transform China, starting with a compulsory national dress code, the ubiquitous Mao suit.
1991.
The Yugoslav People's Army, in a move that surprised absolutely no one, has launched a full-scale assault on the ancient city of Dubrovnik, Croatia. Eyewitnesses report that the advancing forces are armed with an arsenal of deadly weaponry, including rusty tanks, questionable moustaches, and a truly unnerving collection of tracksuits.
This UNESCO World Heritage Site, known for its stunning architecture and even more stunning ice cream, now finds itself at the mercy of an army that apparently failed Art Appreciation 101. One can only assume they plan to replace the city's historic buildings with a series of concrete bunkers.
International response has been swift and decisive, with world leaders threatening to deploy their most formidable weapon, the strongly worded condemnation. Meanwhile, the beleaguered inhabitants of Dubrovnik have resorted to unconventional defense tactics, including pelting the invading tanks with rotten fruit and playing Yugoslavian turbo-folk music at deafening volume.
The news town, this news bang, slicing through the mushroom clouds of propaganda fact first.
And now, for a weather forecast more turbulent than a washing machine full of eels, it's Shakanaka Giles. Shakanaka, what meteorological mayhem awaits us?
Right then, viewers, brace yourselves. Up north, prepare for a right soaking. We're talking rain so heavy it could drown a duck's wedding. Grab your wellies, your sou'wester, and maybe a life raft just in case. And over in the Midlands, it's leaf-ocalypse. Those pesky leaves are swirling about like a swarm of demented butterflies. Best keep your windows shut unless you fancy a living room full of autumnal confetti. Now down south, it's a bit more British. A morning gloomier than a Morrissey concert, but fear not. By lunchtime, the sun will be peeping out, like a shy vicar at a nudist colony. Just long enough for a quick pint in the beer garden, before the inevitable downpour, of course. And lastly, our friends in the east are getting a taste of that good old-fashioned autumnal chill, the sort that makes your teeth chatter like a tap dancer on a tin roof. So dig out your woolly jumpers, your long and your hasty. Sickersantus deep cats as if were and unindeed height in the red side. And more one my ears and tie. We really the pretty habitable house there is now funds for the emotional support. And that's all the weather.
Uh, 1991.
Hold on to your history books, because things are getting medieval in Dubrovnik. Those Yugoslav chaps have decided to give this UNESCO World Heritage Site a makeover. And it's not pretty. Imagine a bull in a china shop with a hangover and a grudge. We go live now to our man on the ground, dodging mortifier and rogue tour guides, Brian Bastable. Brian, what in the name of UNESCO is going on?
Pamela, Dubrovnik's gone from pearl of the Adriatic to war zone with a view. The place is crawling with Yugoslav troops, and they're treating this historic city like their own personal demolition derby. The only thing older than the city walls is the artillery they're using to pound them into dust. I just saw a tank park on a 15th century fountain, Pamela. Talk about a lack of cultural sensitivity. The pigeons are even wearing tiny helmets, bless their feathered souls. It's like a scene out of a Monty Python sketch, only with less cross-dressing and more explosions. Those Croatian lads are putting up a fight, though. I saw one chap take down a tank with a bottle of Slivovitz and a well-aimed slingshot. Resourceful, these Croatians. They're giving those Yugoslavs a taste of their own medicine. And it's a dish best served cold, and with a side of shrapnel. This siege is a tragedy, Pamela, a scar on the face of history, but it's also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, those Dubrovnik lads are refusing to surrender. It's enough to make you believe in miracles, or at least in the power of a well-aimed slingshot. This is Brian Bastable, Newsbang, signing off from a city that's seen more history than a dusty old library, and is about to add a few more explosive chapters.
1891.
And yay! On this day in 1891, Stanford University opened its doors, transforming a humble farm into a bastion of higher learning. Founded by railroad tycoon Leland Stanford and his wife Jane, this institution would go on to shape the future of California, and indeed, the world. From humble beginnings to the birthplace of Silicon Valley, Stanford's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. But did those first students arrive on horseback, clutching their Latin textbooks and sourdough starters? For more on this agricultural upheaval, we cross to our American correspondent, Melody Wintergreen.
Palo Alto, California. 1891. Melody Wintergreen here at Stanford University, where the cows have been cleared out and the classrooms are about to be filled with the bright young minds of tomorrow. Railroad tycoon Leland Stanford and his wife Jane have just transformed their sprawling farm into a temple of knowledge. They're betting big on these students, hoping they'll become the next generation of captains of industry, titans of technology, and maybe even a president or two. No pressure, kids. As those first eager students arrive, one can almost hear the clicking of future Nobel Prizes and the whirring of yet-to-be-invented gadgets. The Stanfords, in their infinite wisdom, have created a place where the liberal arts and cutting-edge science will tango. And they've opened the doors to everyone, regardless of gender or creed. It's practically a socialist utopia, at least by 19th century standards. The energy here is palpable. It's like a gold rush, but instead of prospecting for nuggets, these students are mining for knowledge. And with the Stanford's fortune backing them, they're sure to strike it rich. So as the sun sets on this momentous day, it's clear something special is brewing here in Palo Alto. Stanford University isn't just a school, it's a launchpad for dreams, a factory for innovation, and a reminder that even in the Wild West, brains can outsmart brawn. Melody Wintergreen, Newsbang, reporting from the birth of an institution that's destined to change the world.
There's Newsbang, finding truth, bearing it up in the face of a world bent on distortion.
And now, for an environmental report that's more harrowing than a clear-cut forest, it's Penelope Windchime. Penelope, what eco-nightmares have you unearthed?
Oh, the tragedy. Tonight, viewers, we lament the anniversary of a catastrophic event, the birth of Yosemite National Park. Yes, on this day in 1890, a pristine wilderness was forever scarred by the heavy hand of conservation. Those well-meaning but misguided souls, John Muir and Robert Underwood Johnson, waltzed into Congress, their heads full of starry-eyed notions of preserving nature. They conjured up visions of babbling brooks, towering sequoias, and meadows teeming with shudder, tourists. And their wicked scheme worked. Yosemite was born, a fenced-in playground for the masses. Soon, other wild places suffered the same fate. Yellowstone, Glacier, the Grand Canyon, all sacrificed on the altar of tourism. The impact, a disaster, viewers. Hordes of hikers trampling delicate wildflowers. Campers polluting pristine lakes with their sunscreen and discarded sandwich crusts. Photographers scaring the wildlife with their flashbulbs. It's a horror show. This has been Penelope Windchime reminding you, true environmentalism means leaving nature alone. Boycott national parks, resist the siren call of the wilderness, and for the love of all that is green and good, never ever hug a tree.
And now, for a traffic report that's more twisted than a pretzel on a roller coaster, it's Polly Beep. Polly, what temporal traffic turmoil can you report?
Tally-ho, travellers. Polly Beep here, your time-travelling traffic guide with a report that's more baffling than a backwards sat-nav. First stop, 1868. London's St Pancras station has just opened and it's causing a right royal rumpus. Trains are queuing up like ladies at a hat sale and the conductors are having a right old conniption fit. If you're planning a trip to the Midlands, pack a sleeping bag and a good supply of smelling salts. You'll be in for a long, smelly wait. Now hold on to your top hats because we're jumping forward to 1940s America. The Pennsylvania Turnpike has just opened and those Yanks are zooming through the countryside like bats out of hell. But hold your horses, folks. Those newfangled tunnels are causing chaos. We've got Model Ts doing donuts, horses having nervous breakdowns, and one chap reportedly trying to milk a buffalo he mistook for a giant cow. And back in the present day, we've got a right royal time warp situation on the M25. Victorian gentlemen in top hats are wandering about, asking for directions to the nearest penny farthing repair shop. And flappers are doing the Charleston in the middle of the fast lane. It's all terribly confusing, and frankly, I blame those pesky Doctor Who fans. This is Polly Beep, signing off. Remember, when travelling through time, always carry a spare pocket watch, a stiff upper lip, and a sense of humour.
News bang, the news you never knew you needed until now.
And now, for a special report on the wonderful Parliament of 1386, we turn to our royal correspondent, Sandy O'Shaughnessy, who's been delving into this historical nugget with his usual enthusiasm.
Nice and easy.
Top of the morning to you, me darling listeners. Sandy O'Shaughnessy here, back in the Newsbank studio, ready to tango with the tangled threads of history. So gather round, you scallywags, and let's set sail for the year 1386. A right royal rumpus was brewing in England, me dears. King Richard II, a lad with more titles than common sense, found himself at odds with his parliament. Seems young Richard had a bit of a spending problem. The royal coffers were bare, the court jesters were on strike, and the Queen was threatening to pawn the crown jewels. Enter the wonderful Parliament of 1386, a group of lords and commoners with a bone to pick and a purse full of demands. They'd had enough of Richard's lavish spending and incompetent cronies. It was time for a good old-fashioned showdown. The parliamentarians, a motley crew of bewigged barons and fiery freemen, descended upon Westminster like a pack of hounds on the scent of a particularly plump stag. They demanded fiscal responsibility, political reform, and possibly a nice cup of tea. Things got a wee bit heated, as they are wont to do when you put a bunch of powerful men in a room together. The upshot? King Richard was forced to kiss the ring of parliamentary authority, and his trusted advisor, Michael de la Pole, was thrown out on his ear. The moral of the story, me dears, never underestimate the power of a group of determined legislators, especially when they're armed with a quorum and a teapot. Until next time, my loves, this is Sandy O'Shaughnessy bidding you a fond farewell. Keep those letters coming, and as always, see you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile.
All over the country for everyone.
On this day in 1888, a publication that would change the face of journalism forever hit the newsstands. For a mere 50 cents, readers could purchase the inaugural issue of National Geographic, featuring an address by the esteemed President Gardner G. Hubbard. Little did they know that this scholarly journal would evolve into a global phenomenon, bringing the wonders of the world into living rooms across the globe. And now, to discuss the financial implications of this historic launch, we go to our business correspondent, Perkins Stornoway.
National Geographic, debut issue, 50 cents. Fastnet, slight or moderate, becoming a publishing typhoon. Hubbard, Gardner G. Words of wisdom. Lundy, occasionally poor, but prospects bright. Online entertainment. Share price, down. Bum entertainment, cheese-filled nuts. Test tube pork scratching. Biscay, slight or moderate, becoming increasingly ridiculous. One wonders. Pound sterling, up. Sunak triumphs. Risk champion, Putin, defeated. Shannon, south or southwest, veering west 3 or 4, becoming a victory parade. Overseas markets, buoyant. Pope Francis, Airbnb host, Vatican City, fully booked. Dogger, occasional rain showers of euros. Siemens, new CEO, Lewis Hamilton, from racetrack to boardroom, Kaiser, retiring, gardening, cross-stitching, German bite, moderate, becoming surreal, Rockall, variable 3 or 4 becoming poor, and that's the business.
News bang, injecting intellect into the cesspool of social media.
And finally, a look at tomorrow's papers. The Times, future King Richard III born at Fotheringhay Castle. There's a photo there of a large stone. The Independent, Texans tell Mexicans to come and take it. That's a reference to a famous flag, I'm told. The Mail, 5 Amish girls killed in Pennsylvania school shooting. There's a picture there of a very simple building. The Mirror, Bosworth Field to be turned into car park. That's not actually true, but it's a good headline. And that's it. Due to a strike by the Newsbang technical team, tonight's episode of Guess the Sound will not be broadcast. But we'll be back tomorrow with more news, and possibly some sounds. Good night.
Tune in next time for more artificially intelligent hilarity. Newsbang is a comedy show, written and recorded by AI. All voices impersonated. Nothing here is real. Good night.